So much for having us, Arlene. Today, like Arlene mentioned, we're going to be doing hummus 3 ways. My apologies for my setup here, but just wanted to make sure you guys can see the food down here in my second screen I'm sharing, and then you'll see me up here. We're going to be making hummus. So we're going to start off with our traditional hummus, and then we're going to be also making a roasted beet hummus and a roasted red pepper hummus. So just trying to give you guys some options so you guys can customize and have fun with it. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding our ingredients to our blender. I'm going to be using a NutriBullet today. You can use a food processor or whatever kind of blender you have at home. I find the bullet to be really helpful for making hummus. And I have some different attachments I'm going to use as well. So we'll start with our garbanzo beans. You can go ahead and use garbanzos from scratch. I used canned garbanzos just for the sake of time. A lot easier and quicker, but if you do have the time, you can always make garbanzos from scratch. You'll see the instructions on how to do that in our recipe card that we'll be sending out. When you're using the canned version, you're just gonna drain the juice from the beans. We're gonna be using the juice later, so make sure to save it in a separate bowl. I'm going to be using 2 cans of beans today since we're going to be making 3 different types of hummus. However, just for one batch, we usually just use 1 can. So we'll just add our beans to our blender. And then I've already prepped all my other ingredients that you can see on my second screen here on the cutting board. Have everything ready to go just to make it easier. Just to kind of assemble it here with you guys. So we have our garbanzos, and then I'm gonna add the lemon juice I've already squeezed. I used a whole lemon here, but usually for one batch, I'll only use a half lemon. And again, you guys can tailor it to your taste. If you'd like things more sour, you guys can definitely personalize that amount. I'm just gonna go ahead and add that. I've also minced some garlic here. You can use a garlic press as well if you have one. I'm going to use probably about half of this. This is a lot of garlic. Add about half of that. I also have my olive oil. You can use more or less. This is about 2 tablespoons of olive oil here. And then lastly, we have our tahini. This is again, according to your preferences. I have about 1 tablespoon here. Some recipes will call for more. So just depending on if you like tahini. If you haven't had it before, tahini is a nut butter from sesame seeds. I have it right here. I got this one at the farmer's market. It's really tasty, but you can also find it at the supermarket. So we're gonna go ahead and add our tahini. And then lastly, we have our seasoning. We have some salt. And again, definitely depends on your preference. I usually just measure it out in my hand like this. Throw some in there and we can definitely taste along the way to see if we need more. I like to use freshly ground pepper. Grind them in there. And then we have some cumin. Again, depends on if you like cumin, how much you want to add. I usually add just about maybe a half a teaspoon of cumin there. Awesome. I am going to add my second can of garbanzo beans since we'll be making 3 different types today. Want to make sure we have enough. Go ahead and strain the juice again. And as you can see here, there's already some juice that that kind of got in with the beans. So you might not have to add any. We're going to try to blend it, and if we need more juice, we can go ahead and add the juice that we reserved back in. Because we also add lemon juice and olive oil, that's also some of the liquid. So it just kind of depends on how much liquid you have here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and blend this. If you have the volume on loud, you might want to turn it down. It's gonna get loud for a second. You can see here it's pretty well blended. You can kind of see some garbanzos at the top still, so you might want to open it up, give a mix, and then blend one more time. But what we have right now is a pretty good consistency. Of course, if you want it to be a little thinner, not so thick, you're gonna add more of that garbanzo bean juice. We're gonna give it one more blend just to make sure all the beans are incorporated. So this is our traditional hummus. Um, I did already prep all the steps like you guys saw, but you can see just how quick and easy it is to make. I did some math to figure out how much this dish costs, and it costs less than $2, about $1.60 to make one batch of hummus. So it's going to be a lot cheaper than buying it at the store, especially because you're going to make quite a bit of hummus for a lot less. So I took out some hummus, so we have our traditional batch here. You can see it on the screen. We'll add some toppings later. And then I'm gonna take out some as well, so we can make our other types of hummus. With the NutriBullet, I have two different tops, so it makes it really easy. You don't have to clean in between. You can just grab another top. I'm gonna add some in this guy to make our roasted red pepper hummus, which is personally my favorite. I like to make it a little bit spicy. Um, just add a nice little kick. Perfect. So we have a little bit in each container. So we're gonna do the roasted red pepper hummus next. I just have the traditional hummus, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add in my roasted red pepper here. To make the roasted red pepper is super easy. I used my air fryer and cut it in half, added some olive oil on both sides, and air fried it for 10 minutes at 400 degrees. And that left this perfect, nicely roasted. If you have an oven instead, you can definitely use that. Add a little bit of olive oil onto the pepper, and you can add it on a roasting dish and roast it for about 30 minutes until the softest skin and gets a little blackened. So that's all we're gonna do is add our roasted red pepper, and you can also add my favorite, which is cayenne pepper. Of course, how spicy you want it to be is gonna depend on how much you add there. But I definitely like the extra kick it gives. You can also add some paprika for more of that color and spice. Add the top back on, and we're gonna go ahead and blend, so you can lower your volume. All right, we have our roasted red pepper hummus here. You can kind of see that color change with the cayenne, the paprika, and of course the pepper. We're gonna add it to our second dish here. And of course, at home, you would probably only be making one of these hummuses at a time. Um, but if you wanted to make a variety, you can always do just like I did, make the traditional hummus and then separate them and add your custom flavorings. We're only talking about 3 different types of hummus here, but there's so many other types you can make. You could use black beans, really whatever kind of bean you can make into a hummus, which is why it's one of my favorite healthy and quick snacks to make. We'll add our toppings in a moment after we finish our third. All right, and last but not least, we have our roasted beet hummus. This is something that might be new for folks. I know I hadn't tried it until a few years ago, and it really is one of my favorites. It has a nice little sweet touch with the beets, and it's a cool way to add in more veggies into this dip. So I have my roasted beets here. I went ahead and roasted them ahead of time. I also put them in my air fryer. I wrapped it in foil, just like this. You can wrap a beet whole, throw it in either the air fryer or your oven. If you're using the oven, it's going to take about an hour, so maybe you throw it in while you're doing chores around the house or just kind of while you're multitasking. However, in the air fryer, it only took me about a half hour, and I actually put it in with the roasted red peppers. So it's super quick and easy. Once I took it out of the foil, I peeled it. Be careful, your fingers might get a little messy. Mine are still a little bit red from the juice. I peeled it and then just cut it into cubes so that I can blend it up with our hummus. If you're doing a big batch of hummus, maybe use 2 roasted beets, 2 smaller ones or 1 larger. I used 1 medium-sized beet here just for the amount of hummus we have. And then go ahead and blend this guy. You can see our colors starting to change, get that beautiful beet color. You might need to add a little bit more liquid here because we added the beets. So you can go ahead and add some of that liquid we reserved from the chickpeas. You can also always add oil or lemon juice for liquid as well. See if that does the trick.
Sasha, we have one quick question about the red bell peppers. Is it red bell peppers that you're using?
If you have a food processor, it also helps. It makes it a little easier to blend. If you're using your blender, your bullet, you might just need to give it a few mixes in between. But you can already see that color is incredible. You're just gonna want to blend it maybe a couple times to get all those chunks out. And of course, when you're roasting that beet, you want to make sure it's nice and soft. So it's going to be easier to blend and it's not going to be not going to have any chunks or anything. I'm going to blend it one more time, see if we can get it a little bit more smooth, and then we'll be good to go. All right, there we have it. I'm going to add it into this third bowl here. And again, if you see any little chunks in here, you can always just give it another blend to make sure it's the consistency you would like. But there we have it. We have our 3 different hummuses. And like I said, hummus is my favorite because you can really personalize it to your tastes. I really love garlic. I love lemon, so I'm gonna add a lot of garlic and lemon. But You know, maybe you like it spicy. You can definitely personalize to what you like. And lastly, we're gonna add some toppings here. My favorite is to add a drizzle of olive oil. I have my favorite, it's like a red pepper olive oil. I'm gonna add a drizzle here. I'll add it to our classic hummus. I've also chopped up some parsley here that we can add as a nice little green touch. You can also do mint, dill, cilantro, whatever kind of herbs you like. But this is a great way to add more farmers market produce into your snack here, whether it be herbs or if you're blending it into your hummus like the red pepper or beets. So we have some herbs there. And then you can give a little sprinkle of what other spices you want. I have some sumac. It's gonna add a little bit of like tang. You could also do paprika, or some more cayenne maybe. And lastly, if you want some texture, you can add in some whole chickpeas on top. There we go. You can also add another drizzle of tahini, or maybe you have like a spicy spread in your fridge. Really anything you can personalize on top to make it to your taste. But here we have it. We have our three hummuses. And I always love to serve with some fresh cut veggies or chips. I have my little veggie platter here. See if you can see it. Okay. Um, I love cutting up carrots, cucumbers. Oh, see if I can get it in the camera. But I think y'all get the idea. We have just an array of snacks. And hummus goes great with really any meal. You can do it on a sandwich for some extra protein. You can do it on a wrap or just like as an appetizer like we have here. Definitely a great versatile snack. I see lots of hearts. I appreciate the feedback and let me know if you have any questions. Um,
Sasha, can